Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk Stranger Things Season 2, Episode 8, The Mind Flayer. We're on a roll. We are on a roll. I'm convinced there's no way they're gonna fail at this point in time. Stranger Things 2 is just fantastic. This is the second to last episode, and we kick it off with the return to the facility. We return as far as the story. Last episode solely, it seemed, was minus a couple bits and pieces, was focused on 11 and reuniting with 8. This, we're back now, and I think this is one other reason why it's so enjoyable to binge watch a show. You got a cliffhanger in episode 6, and the Demogorgons come up from the pit, and you have Hopper and Sam and everyone else, Will and Mike, they're all in the facility, and now they're in danger. And then you would have to wait a week in normal TV to watch an episode that doesn't touch base on that cliffhanger and is solely focused on 11. And it might really affect your enjoyment because you want to see what happens with that cliffhanger. And then you'd have to wait another week, so you'd be waiting 2 weeks to get what we got now. When you binge watch it, you could just be like, okay, I'm peeping this. Nah, man. Let me watch the next episode because I need to see what happens with the Demogorgon. So they come up, they hit in the glass. Sam's like, oh, they can't get through that. Sure enough, they do. So this is suspenseful all around. Every time we talk about everything that's going on, because a lot of this isn't dive deep with the story, it's suspenseful moments that's happening with more of the action elements. But they do touch base. They take a break and they touch base with Max and Billy. But this time, we get to see a very well done scene of a miserable type of environment in the house with Max and Billy. Billy's still a dick, because he could be like Max. He could be, if he was not a dick, Max would be more open to talking to him and telling him where she's at, what's going on. So that way, when his parents show up, he could be like, oh, relax, she's having, and then he can kind of cover for her. And there'd be no problems. There'd be no beef or friction or whatever. But he wants to be a dick, and he's always going to be a dick. I don't want them to do a redemption song with Billy and, oh, he's having a horrible life. He's a dick. Anyway, so we go down to the back to the research facility at another scene where I was dying. I even replayed it 5 different times, and it's something simple, and I don't even know, it's actually basic. And I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. They're locked in a closet, and they need to get the lights back on. They need to flick the fuses, get the electricity turned back on, and then they got to reset the system to unlock the doors and deal with the alarms and shit like that, mainly to unlock the door so they can make an escape. And then Hopper instantly, because he's always like, okay, I'm gonna do this, instantly goes to go out the door, and Bob the Brain is like, whoa, where are you going? Once you turn the lights on, you got to be able to reset the system. And then he says a few sentences of really smart computer shit, and then Hopper's like, okay, well, tell me what to do. And he says, do you know what basic? What does he say? I don't know what that is. But it's the way he said it, where he is just frustrated and annoyed, doesn't want to admit it, but instantly knows he needs to just confess, I don't know what that is. Like, what did you just say? And he turns around, Bob turns around and asks the doctor, Sam, if he knows what it is. No one knows what it is, and Bob the Brain becomes Bob the Ball Sack, and I mean that in a good way. He got some balls. He knows he's probably the only one in the room, definitely the only one in the room, who knows about computers to restart the system and get the doors unlocked. So love that little tidbit there. And they're doing good with Bob. They're doing real good with Bob. Real good. They're setting him up. And we know why. In this episode, we know why. So then we have the group reunites. We got Dustin and Steve and Lucas is with them and Max is with them. And they reunite with Jonathan and Nancy out in the front gates. And I do like this now. When you start bringing the majority of the cast together, that's when I get really excited, and it becomes really enjoyable to watch them grow an even closer bond and different types of bonds. It appears that Steve and Dustin is growing a kind of like a friends, but more like an older brother, mentor type, giving advice to Dustin. I think it's a great bond. I think a lot of the fan base, especially a certain part of the fan base, is going to think that's really cute and attached to that older brother with Dustin, because we already saw a huge part of the fan base just absolutely loved him in season 1, thought he was the cutest thing. And then we have the tense moment with Bob being in the facility trying to maneuver his way around. But the doctor, again, a guy who just kicks ass and decides to stay back, even though he could have just left. He does, because if he leaves, Bob has no eyes. He's flying blind. So he stays back and he tries to talk with him. Very suspenseful scene that I loved, and get him out in safety. There's a Demogorgon there. He tells him to get in the closet. The scene was really well done. And then the broom starts to fall. And I love this moment, how they slow it down a little bit. And they show, because, you know, broom fall, ting, and then it's like, okay, and everything kicks off. They slow that moment down. The broom hits, and it's an oh shit moment. Sam is like, run, and then he hauls ass. And this is the part we saw in the trailer. But then it gets to the point where once he gets outside the doors, they hesitate. Just a moment too long, and it shouldn't be like that. That is the only negative, I think. One of the only few negatives, in my opinion. There's a couple here and there, smaller nitpicking negatives, but this is a pretty big one. They telegraphed the death, and it's only by like 2 seconds, and it was too much. Because as soon as he shut that door, and he takes a breath, and he looks over, and they have this happy smile reunion, I knew it was game over, and maybe that was their intention. However, I think for me, my enjoyment would have been better if he had run out, shuts the door, takes like a millisecond breath, turns around, smiles in mid, like, so it continues on, and they're just about to get to safety, and then the Demogorgon comes and takes him out. Maybe even he gets to Joy, and just before the reunion, the Demogorgon takes him out. Something like that. I felt like the scene would have been like a massive punch in the gut. It was a mild punch in the gut, but just that telegraph was enough for me to go, oh, it's happening, for me to accept it way before it even happened, because our brain's working pretty quick. So anyway, there's that slight hesitation, took me out of it a bit, but still, Bob got taken out, and it was a sad moment, absolutely. They've been propping him up. They could have kept him in, but they could have killed him. So either way, I wasn't really sure. I think he was definitely on the chopping block. But I'll be honest with you, going into this, I wasn't really sure if this was going to be the time yet for them to take him out. So we get the name drop of what the new creatures are, the Demodogs, and I think this is pretty kick-ass. Demodogs. And why didn't I say that before? That fits. They even said that. Demogorgons. Are you sure that's not a dog? Demodog. What the fuck? Anyway, so they get this moment where they sit Will down because they don't want him being a spy against them. And there's a long, drawn-out, in a good way, emotional moment between everyone that is friends with Will. His brother has a moment with him. Mike has a moment with him. Hopper and his mother. And his mother has a good one where she says he drew this picture. She was so proud and he was so embarrassed. Or she said, and I love this. You got to reverse it because that's where the punchline is, the emotional punchline. She's like, you were so embarrassed, but I was so proud. I was like, you got me. That was a good moment. All of their emotional moments were really good here, and this is really ramping it up because Will could potentially die. So they are ramping this up as a possibility. I, at this time, don't believe they are quite ready yet. Knowing there's going to be 4 or 5 seasons, I don't think they're quite ready yet, going for a truly dark ending this season and killing any of the kids off. So I don't think that's going to happen, but they're building it up great. And then we get Will doing Morse code while they have the thing that took him over, the badass shadow. They have it distracted by talking to it, but Will's giving Morse code. I love that because then it connects back to the Morse code where at this is another little glimpse. I think that is great writing where you can have something like the Morse code that's used that makes sense. You know, she's in the cabin and he's doing Morse code so she can hear, oh, I'm going to be late, this is going on, but it's not just used for that one thing. They again bring it back around for this scene with the Morse code. I just loved it. It's like they didn't use it and forget about it. They were able to reincorporate it back into the story now. Fantastic. One moment, though, there was the reunion at the end. I think it was badass. They're getting ready to fight the Demodogs, and they're about to come in, and there's a moment, you hear a Demodog just kind of get hurt, and then it comes through the window, and I'll be honest, I had no clue it was 11 at that time until I saw the lock, and that was because it didn't feel like the epic moment where 11 would come into the frame, into the mix. Now, I'm sure a lot of people love this moment, and I did like it. I just felt like the reunion was a 5. Oh, well, it was like a 7 when it could have been a 10. It could have been something where the Demodog comes through the window just as, you can even have it in slow motion, just as the lock comes down, the door comes open, and as the Demodog, oh, that would have been badass. Imagine the Demodog comes through the window as the lock, and then as the Demodog comes through the window, the camera fades out, so that way the Demodog in the foreground's blurry, and then we can see the lock slowly move, and then we do a close-up on the lock, and it slides off, and then we take a pan back out, the Demodog's even closer, and then the door swings open, and we see 11 there, and maybe Mike in the group. They could even take a couple shots at it as the Demodog gets just a foot away, and then 11 blows its brain up, snaps its neck, and then it falls to the side, and they all look over, and 11's at the door. I thought there would be some kind of like moment like that, not just simply killed it, threw it in the window. With that being said, again, that's just a small little nitpick. I love this episode, and I still enjoyed the reunion. I thought it was great. It doesn't need theatrics, but I still was looking forward to some kind of triumphant reunion return with 11 and meeting Mike again. Anyhow, we got one episode left. Man, one episode left. You know, I don't normally burn through seasons that I really enjoy. Usually I do, 2, maybe 3 at the most a day. But since I don't get many breaks from my daughter, I don't get any at all, really. Maybe once every 6 months. She's visiting overnight with her grandmother, so Friday night and Saturday night, so that gives me a little bit of time to just binge the shit out of these and then review it, take a break, and we'll come back and do some kind of bigger breakdown. So that's why I'm just burning through it. You guys can go at your own pace, though. These videos will always be up, so come back and check them out whenever you get done per episode, and then meet us back here in a few weeks, maybe a month or so, and we'll do some kind of bigger video. Anyway, thoughts, theories, opinions, predictions, any Easter eggs you want to put down in the comment box, put them down there. I'm done talking. It's your turn.